I'm Lauren with Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a detailed look at the BAGSMART Space Saver Pro Toiletry Bag, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. Let's dive in. This comes in 2 sizes. This is the medium size, and it also comes in a large. Depending on which size you get, they're very similar depth, if not the same, but they do have a bit of a difference between the individual sections on the inside, which I'll show you, or like the kind of height and length, I guess, of all of those sections. So a little bit bigger. The medium, I think, honestly, is a great size for if you carry a lot of items. I'll show you what it looks like on the inside, but the large size I could see being just like a little bit too big. I think it's gonna depend more on like almost your bottle sizes than anything. But looking at the outside of this to start, this is like a very quilty, soft material. They don't give specifics on what the actual material is, but they do say it's a waterproof material. I find that water beads off of this nicely, but it's not like a waterproof material in the sense that you'll want to bring it into the shower with you. I do think that it holds up obviously in the bathroom. I kept it hanging in my bathroom, but the inside there are some, it's like a TPU, kind of like a plastic clear coating or a clear material that's very easy to keep clean, and also if it does get wet, it does keep that water out, or if something leaks from the inside, it'll keep the water out. So that's very nice. You can see it does pick up fuzz and dust pretty easily. I've got some pet hair on there as well, and it is a very lumpy look. So whatever you have in here is definitely gonna show through. Again, when I open this up, you'll see what that kind of looks like. I don't love that. I think that what this thing does well is more so the fact that it can hold all of those items, and it doesn't, I mean, if this is your style, cool, it's not particularly mine, but if this is something that you like, that's gonna be great for that. We also have this little BAGSMART logo on the front there. It's like the same kind of metal-y looking material as the zippers themselves, and these zipper pulls are these nice little loops as well. So in addition to that, stands up on its own, obviously, and then we've got 2 little carry handles here so that you can very easily take this to the bathroom with you. So I think, you know, it works very well for that functionality of if you want to keep your toiletry bag in your room with you and then take it to the bathroom every time you go. It's very easy to haul this thing around because of these 2 top carry handles. So we're actually going to look at the inside of this. There are 2 pockets, but inside each are more organization. So with this first one, it unzips in a clamshell look, and then you can see on the inside we have 2 little areas for organization. This side here has individual loops. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate spots you can put things. They say this is kind of like the cosmetics compartment. I almost found this better for other items, to be honest with you, and then on the inside I put my cosmetics. It sort of depends on what you have, to be honest. So with this, you know, I have a razor. I probably should have faced that down for safety reasons. These brushes they fit nicely in here, but because this is a plastic material, they're hard to get like in and out. They get really sticky. Like it was kind of hard to feed them through, which I didn't love. Excuse me, but they do stay very securely in place, which is nice. In this pocket, this is kind of what I mean, where like, if I wanted to section everything together, I kind of struggled with that in here because I found that I would run out of space in some compartments or want to use certain compartments for one thing but wouldn't be able to fit everything in there and have to split things out. So I didn't love that. Like in here is basically all of the makeup that I would potentially use. And I just feel like it's almost overstuffed in here. Like I have all of these little tubes and all of these little containers and all of these things that, you know, I would almost have to unpack this every single time I wanted to do my makeup, which for me is, I don't love doing that, especially if you're gonna be hanging this thing open, then it's gonna be kind of annoying to have to close it up, get to this compartment, maybe take everything out, put it back in. Like, to me, this felt almost like I wanted to instead just put items I don't use very often in here, like maybe an extra pack of like tissues or maybe some toiletry tools that, like a pair of like cosmetic scissors or something, or tweezers that I'm not gonna need very often, but are there and easily accessible when I do need them. If you're finding this video helpful, hit subscribe so we can keep making content to help you travel smarter. Going into the main compartment, it opens very similar to that front compartment, as in it's a like clamshell opening and it lays flat. This folds out into, actually let me flip it around like that. This folds out into 4 panels. So This top one with the hook is going to be obviously the top one, and this is what you would hang off of like a towel rack or something similar. It's a 360 swivel, and it feels, it's just straight up metal. Like it feels very similar to like a basic metal hanger. It does feel very secure though. And even when I had everything in here and it was loaded up, it still felt like it didn't feel like it was gonna fall off basically. And because it is a 360 swivel, it will lay flat against kind of whatever surface you have it hooked up by. So that was very nice. It was very easy to access everything in this, and I will give it that. But walking through like the individual compartments here, on the very top we have 2 separate compartments, and they're separated by individual zippers. So in here I have a toothbrush. Not all toothbrushes fit, so I have a Surrey toothbrush and it was too long for here, but this is a Philips one, and it fits perfectly fine. So it's going to depend. You can also put a toothbrush in that front compartment. That was another thing they mentioned potentially being able to do. But I liked it in here because it was this nice, this is like that waterproof plasticky material that's very easy to wipe clean. You can see that on the inside though, if you did have something leak, it's not plasticky on the inside, it's just on this outside area. So it could potentially leak through to like this front area or something like that. We also have, like I mentioned, this other zippered pocket, and that's where I put other small items. So I kind of like, I like to segment my things when I'm carrying something this large. I like to segment it based off of like what items I have. So in this next one, these are all like almost like tools that I use on a frequent basis. So, but also like hair. And this is what I was talking about, where there were like certain compartments that worked better for certain bottle types than others. So instead of being able to compartmentalize fully, I had to sort of make sacrifices. So in this one, I have like a body scrubber, I have a hairbrush, and I have a couple of like skincare things. But then I also have some like hair pomade, and then I have these little cotton rounds to wash my face, and then a couple other hair things. So that wasn't super convenient. I did like these little pockets. So if you stand it up like that, you can see that it just fits something very nicely, specifically the hairbrush, because I don't love when I have a hairbrush that has hair on it, just kind of like floating around in a toiletry bag. It just kind of grosses me out a little bit. So it was nice to have that. And then if you don't want to use these, you can just use this whole like bucket space on its own, which is very nice. Then there's this compartment that is very similar, but it's accessible from both sides. So if you did have this open like this, and you wanted to only flip this open and come at it from like the bottom side versus the top, you can. I didn't really find that necessary. I thought it was more useful as if I had a bunch of really tiny items that fell to the bottom of here, and then I can open it here and grab something down there versus opening at the top and like fishing my whole hand through. But I think where this one really thrives is if you just sort of ignore these loops. So in here, I have a couple of items that fit within those loops, but for the most part, my like toiletry bottles and things like that don't really need to go in there, or they don't fit. So we use these Human Gear Go tubes a lot. This is the TSA size. This one's a little bit bigger, but they both fit in this pocket. They just don't fit inside of these loops. So I largely ignored the loops. I felt that like they didn't really optimize the space a ton, so I could fit more in there if I wasn't utilizing them. Kind of the same amount I could fit inside the compartment just above that. And then at the very bottom here, I have a little smaller compartment with all of like the little tools that I have, which again, I ended up like, mostly when I pack this, I put like the makeup in one of these, and then put all of like my tools and things in here. And then in the front compartment, if I needed some extra space, I'd put like hair ties or something like that. So you can kind of figure out the configuration that works the best for you. I think like on their site, they say that this is for like, I think it was like 3 to 5 days or something like that of toiletries. You can fit way more than that in here. And it does obviously depend on how much you carry. Oh, there's a little loop here so that this hook's not flying around. It really does depend on how much you carry. I think this would be really great if you are obviously not a minimalist like packer, because I think this, if you're a minimalist packer, you've kind of dialed in your toiletries. but specifically if you like to condense, like if you're traveling with a couple other people and you like to condense your toiletries, this would be great for that because there's so much space in here and it would only take up room in one person's bag versus everybody's bag, if that's kind of how you like to travel. So I think it more so just depends. There are also versions of this that come with a separate TSA clear bag, so you could theoretically split a couple more items out into that. But for myself personally, I found this to just be way too much space. The good part about it is that if I didn't carry all of this and I had it a little underloaded, it did stay much smaller. And this on its own is pretty lightweight. So I didn't feel like I was like taking up a ton of extra space or a ton of extra weight if it wasn't full. But for myself and my minimalist packing tendencies, this would just be a little bit too large to start with. So there you have it, the BAGSMART Space Saver Pro. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.